The Drums of War, Chapter 27. What They Bought. Aboard the Speaking Softly. Ambassador Sophie Laurent had a rare moment of real, actual privacy. And what should she do with it? Mostly think on what to do with this rare opportunity until it is thusly squandered. And she found herself startled by a knock on her quarters door. She briefly considered faking her own death to regain the lost treasure, but a sense of duty got the better of her. "Enter," she said. Her colleague, Ambassador Mikhail Volkov, strode triumphantly into the room and proclaimed, in third reformed Russian, she thought, "The diplomatic committee has finally authorized me to offer material support for the Xeno nations." Well, she spoke second reformed Russian, so she replied using that language instead of commercial English. "Do you know that it is quite irritating for one's implant to translate a language that is close to something one understands?" He very satisfyingly winced and put a hand up to his left ear. Politely, he apologized in commercial English, heavily accented though it was. "Apologies. I was excited to share the news. We're invading the Exarch Dominion already. You aren't afraid that it's too little too late? The coalition is always slow, but the planets can be speedy. The Elizabethan Navy has already been folded into the Third Fleet for the rest of that invasion. I heard. Some of the planets in your coalition are more sensible than the others, especially when it comes to comparing themselves to the Republic. You really should consider allowing your members to establish interplanetary governments. That proposal is still in committee." It might have been mean, but Ambassador Laurent couldn't help herself from laughing. Her friend shot her a long-suffering look, and she stifled her mirth and told him, "Please forgive me. I couldn't help it. It's just that I thought that committee was started when the report was still alive." Ambassador Volkov deflated as he admitted, "It was. Every time a representative dies, all of the negotiations start over from the beginning. Some planets are proposing sending 18-year-olds so that they can at least be alive when the decision is closed next. There shall be no interplanetary regulations or law except by complete consensus by duly appointed or elected representatives convened for the exclusive purpose," Ambassador Laurent quoted with a sympathetic smile. "But some of our planets are powerhouses of production for war materials and foodstuffs," Ambassador Volkov said. "And the committee first agreed that negotiating such deals was diplomacy, and then decided that I was the man to do it. The fact that I'm on your speaking softly helps. It probably does. The Republic isn't likely to offer any support that isn't just going to there and defending their planets. Our war materials production capacities are tied up at the moment. Indeed, our businessmen and yours will work out the transportation deals. Try the Star Sailors. Their non-combatants probably want a way to contribute. That'll keep your less reputable ships from having to access Republican space and be subject to outstanding warrants." Ambassador Volkov gave Ambassador Laurent a transparently innocent look and said, "Sophia, the Wartime Committee would never utilize known smugglers." Ambassador Laurent laughed politely and replied, "Of course not. They're all completely legitimate businessmen who never ever knowingly violate any treaties or laws. Their expertise at stealth was gained by complete chance, I'm sure. They're just so very lucky. I expect you're going to want to tell our other friends the good news too, but I have a meeting with Representative Bambi. Still can't believe that movie is popular out here. It's a good story," Ambassador Laurent insisted. "It's talking animals from Terra. What context do these people have for that?" "People are people, wherever you go," she rejoined. "I still find it odd, says the Tolkien nerd." Ambassador Volkov scoffed as he helped his friend to her feet. "Tolkien is applicable to anybody. Bambi is a talking deer." "Nerd," she scoffed in return. "But duty calls, you and me. Time to go tell the Centaur people that the time googly-eyed friends bought them is running short. The Star Council is reinforcing them spineward. The kingdom might survive if we can get the UFP to commit some forces. These people haven't seen a real war in over a millennium. They're going to die like frogs in a blender. Like I said, the CIP will get them better weapons and ships," Ambassador Volkov said, consolingly as he opened the door for her. "That doesn't make them martial people," she sighed in return. "And they're damned medi-wielders, not a single heavy-wielded race in their whole little democracy." They went their separate ways, and both of them had the terrible bargain on their minds. Blood for time. Aboard an Exarch Dominion escort cruiser, Acolyte Lord Zemri Lim had been lounging upon his command throne, contemplating whether the new swerves could truly be as succulent as his cousin had described. he had never found cause to listen to the man much, as he was the sort who found fault for the pleasure of causing pain, rather than taking pleasure in performing proper discipline, as was correct. However, the man had given Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim good advice in regard to food before. It wouldn't be so terrible to sacrifice one pup, just to gain Xur's favor, of course, and then roast the flesh afterward, would it? The swim serfs had large litters with many pups. Surely one wouldn't be missed. The favor of Xur should be sought in any case, as the sons of the vengeful Goddess Republic did repeatedly trounce the glorious forces of the Exarch Dominion, something the Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim didn't think possible until he had seen a small fleet of 5 battleships smashed by 2 ships of the same size, which used what had been thought to be inferior kinetic weapons rather than plasma or laser weapons. He did not think so any longer. He was grateful to have escaped with the extraction fleet, and not worried overmuch about his cousin. He hadn't liked the man anyway. He was just about to order a pup selected for sacrifice when the impossible happened. His ship was pulled from hyperspace. He didn't waste time complaining about the enemy daring to use something impossible. Instead, he ordered the shields up and the bridge crew to secure themselves in crash webbing. He followed his own directions and was about to order that line of communication be opened with his commander's ship when the main screen suddenly displayed the dreaded 2-star banner. "No!" he screamed. "Take evasive action! Charge the plasma batteries!" The initiate highborn scrambled to obey, and they were all shamefully pinkish, not one of them displaying the proper scarlet, or even flushed darkly with battle fury. Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim didn't care whether he was covering his own terror. He instead read the data fed to him from his officers and from his commander. The orders came through. He gulped. "Fire on the behemoth!" he ordered, and watched on the readout while the other escorts and the battleship did the same, while swerving desperately to avoid ferrous metal moving very near the speed of causality. The lucky ships managed to angle themselves such that the shells bounced off their shields that had proven impenetrable to the pitiful weapons of lesser races. These Terrans could not be conceived of as lesser races, and neither could the Stalers of the Stars. Then an unauthorized communication came over the speakers, in the language of the Exarch no less. "We were content to sing amongst the star tides, sing of joy and peace and wonder at the beauty we found. Yet you murdered the among the star tides we sing. You have murdered her crew. You have murdered our kin. You have murdered her honor guard. And you have murdered our adopted. Now we rage in these tides. We rage and will be sated only when we have taken from you a sea for every drop you have spilled. Tremble, ye murderous servants of the bloodthirsty god, and sup from the board that you have made. For the among the star tides we rage sends to you a vengeful vanguard now. Should we find a single of the prisoners bruised, ye shall surely regret it." "Prepare for boarders," Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim screamed. "Bring to me my armor and sword." The pilot cried out as she was forced to choose which hit the ship would take. She chose well, as the bridge was not destroyed, yet the shields were shattered and one of the main thrusters mangled. Then the most terrifying sound possible was heard. The sound was familiar to them, only because it had been recorded by nearby ships when their fate had befallen a battleship. "May the Nana aid us," a warrior moaned. None reprimanded him. It was the sound of boarding torpedoes, an insane invention of the sons of the vengeful Goddess Republic, a weapon that no acolyte lord could countenance spending warriors on. The fact that the torpedoes never seemed to miss, nor be hit by point defense, was a testament to the fury of their goddess, surely. "Warriors, we show our worth," Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim said, as the attendant scurried into the bridge with his armor and sword. "Let our batteries fall silent, and set our course away from the battle. Let the battle within this hell must be attended by all." Acolyte Lord Zimri Lim watched as what surely must have been 4 war nana of the vengeful Goddess Republic push an entire warband back in the corridor leading to the main reactor room. Warrior after warrior fell to their fearsome weapons, and the armor, so effective against directed energy weapons, was little impediment to their munitions. Then, in desperation, the warrior lead ordered to draw sword and close. What came next was a scene of horror. One of them met the charge by dropping to all fours and charging himself, and then leapt upon the warrior lead and used serrated blades mounted upon his helm, as if they were jaws of some hunting creature, to tear free his arm before reaching out with a hand to crush the knee of a nearby warrior. Another of them dropped his weapons and extended short blades from his fingers and plunged them into the throats of 2 warriors when they got close enough. Their swords glanced off the void-black armor of the dreadful war-nana. Another simply leapt upon the shoulders of the warrior, who got too close and grasped them with his feet, while he smote the warrior's helmet and skull asunder. The final one, the one which acolyte Lord Zimri Lin thought was one of the ones called a human, simply pressed a button on his weapon, and the blade jutted out from the barrel, which he used to devastating effect as a spear upon the warriors who got too close to him. Acolyte Lord Zimri-Lum regretted not demanding that his warriors be equipped with anti-tank weapons in the short time that he had to regret it. Aboard the Tiger Lily, Captain Roberts found himself bemused. Really, the prisoner, one Narix Quinn, didn't have any reason that pressed on his duties to see him. He simply wished to speak to the captain. They'd been on their way to see if they could use the Emperor Augustus Renata's solution on the Oxarch. A bloody few days followed by mass surrender would be preferable to digging every last priest whatever out of whatever holes they commanded from. The psychological warfare nerds back in the command had come up with some propaganda to encourage things, and the lost boys in the second star would have the dubious honor of testing it out. So, being bemused by the curiosity of a captured officer was a welcome distraction. The man was pacing in his cell so stridently that Captain Roberts was starting to get tired of just looking at him. But it did bring a concern to his mind. "Are my crew not getting you enough exercise?" Narix Quinn gave the captain a puzzled look as he answered, "I believe it is sufficient. I become tired before they demand that I return to the cell in any case. I have also found that your exercise equipment intuitive and effective, if somewhat unaccommodating to my joint horns in some cases." Good. I asked because you requested to speak with me, and you have been pacing like you need to go for a run. "My mind is running," Narix Quinn answered, "running after the right question. I shall start with this. Why do none of your crew who speak to me about spiritual matters venerate the vengeful goddess Republic?" Captain Roberts' eyes might have fallen out of his head, or his jaw might have hit the floor, if the limits of anatomy didn't prevent such expressions. "The Republic of Terra and her aligned planets is not a goddess," he explained slowly. "Yet you speak of her like one." "We humans, and probably the uplifts too, are odd creatures. The Republic is, in material terms, just an agreement upheld by the lot of us. In more immaterial terms, she is the lady we serve to the benefit of our fellow man. A set of principles, a way of doing things, that gets what we think is good results and makes those we serve the safety and freedom we wish to gift them." "I do not understand. If the Republic is not a person, then who are the people you serve?" "I serve at the pleasure of the Commander-in-Chief and the Armed Forces, duly elected by the citizens of the Republic to the benefit of the civilians of the same." "Then you serve these civilians?" "Yes." "And they command you?"
"No."
"If you serve, how can they not command?"
"The service I render is their protection," Captain Roberts explained patiently. "Most lately from you, and others like you."
"What is elected?" Narix Quinn asked suddenly.
"Those who wish to hold a particular office propose how they would discharge their duties at that office, and then the citizens put down their names of each candidate they think would be the best for the office. Whoever gets more than half the names put down first is elected for that office."
"And your Commander-in-Chief is selected this way?" Narix Quinn asked, with eyes wide as saucers.
"Yes."
"And the citizens, they are nobly born of—"
"No. Service guarantees citizenship."
"So you selected your own Commander-in-Chief?"
"No, of course not. I would be tempted to vote selfishly, and so would any other serviceman," Captain Roberts said. "It doesn't matter whether I think I could resist that temptation. It is better that I am not tempted at all during the course of my service. Once my service is concluded, then I become a citizen, and so does every other serviceman."
Captain Roberts was obliged to call a corpsman on account of the prisoner fainting from shock. End of chapter. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.